So we are just into 2019, just into the new year. And I'll tell you what, I know it's only the second day into the new year, but I feel good. I feel really optimistic. This isn't a self-created optimism. This is a feeling that I am receiving and getting. And things really do feel like they are taking that positive shift, and that we're finally getting to a stage where we're maintaining it. And that's really important. But what I wanted to talk about tonight was really a kind of a good conversation. You know, we all read, we all come from, well, most of us, were raised in specific faiths. Many of us research various spiritual beliefs and faiths that are out there in the world. We read enlightening posts and books from people who make true connections. And of course, within all this, we have to filter out all the trickery and deceit. But I don't want to talk about that stuff anymore. No reason to talk about the negative and the hate anymore, because it doesn't exist in our world anymore, right? Right. So, when we look back and we look through our ancient script, and we're looking back through the ancient text, and we're looking through the Bible, and we're looking through Gnostic teachings and things like that, we start to kind of realize things. We start to have a different understanding. We are all in search of this enlightenment. We're all in search of some type of an ascension, some way to navigate and experience the physical world, but truly be aware, and not just aware of our higher self and the truth of our reality and the truth of our existence and the truth of our energy, but we really want to understand how to use and incorporate the celestial abilities, the lessons we've learned, and how to incorporate them here in this world. And that's really what happens when someone is, on that path of enlightenment. They get to that point where they really start to have a completely different perspective of the world around them. They are projecting a different type of energy. But what has happened? Let's take a real close look at this right now. All day long, we see posts right now on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, wherever it is. We see, my post included, we see posts that are kind of telling you, well, I don't really do this in so many ways, but there are posts out there that really are telling you, these are the spiritual teachers of your time. These are the people to listen to. And if you really start to listen to some of these people, most of it is just coming from researched, bear with me, researched work. Nothing wrong with that. And they're letting this research and this work resonate with them. They're formulating and feeling and connecting and then sharing, right? But when we look back in history, and we start talking about the ascended masters and the prophets, the messiahs and things along these lines, the Buddhas and things along these lines, there's a huge difference. There's a huge difference when we start talking about the shamans and things like that. There is a huge difference between Jesus and Buddha and the shamans and the prophets and all the messiahs and Buddhas there were. There's a huge difference between somebody who really has an extensive book collection and who reads and has absorbed a whole lot of information and can now present it to you in a certain way because they're aware of what's going on in the world. There's a big difference. And I'm not saying that these people there are not spiritual teachers out there, but there are things that happen in life. There are things that happen in life, and there are things we do in life and undergo in life that enable us to become truly enlightened, to truly, from within, from above, from beyond, to really start to feel our truth. So if you start to really research in the Bible, we only hear that, Jesus was a carpenter, the son of a virgin, and we're not going to talk about any of that, but right there, a carpenter. This is a man who was already in his life. He was establishing himself. He was working. He had a craft and a trade, and he was out there in the world working. He was out there in the world working. But something within, something inside of him led him to his true calling. And he became what we know as the Messiah, as Jesus, right? Yeshua. His real name is Yeshua. Let's just, I'm not going to get into all this other stuff right now, and I don't want to offend anybody's religious beliefs, but his name is Yeshua. So when we look at this, there's so many things that people don't take into consideration. He traveled around Egypt, all these places, sat and connected with people of diverse religions all over within his travels, experienced things, rituals, meditations, and prayers in other cultures and all of these things. And when you look in the Bible and you read about the first miracle that Jesus performed was the turning the water into wine. So let's look at this now with our modern interpretation and our modern understanding for a second. They were at this gathering, the wedding, the festival. They ran out of wine. The wine purveyors ran out of wine. Jesus took half of the manna. And put it into the water and told them, the wine purveyors, to boil it in the water and serve it as wine. Okay? Let's say that one more time. They ran out of wine. Jesus took the manna, took half of it, put it into the water, instructed them to boil it in the water and serve it as wine. Okay? So if we really just look at that right off the bat, that to me would be some type of, most likely a mild psychotropic, ayahuasca, some type of a sacred type of a tea or something like this. I'm sorry, I don't read comments during the chats. And I'm not offending anybody's faith. I'm not trying to offend anybody's spiritual beliefs or their faiths. But all of our modern interpretations and all the good books that the modern ones, and they all have manipulated who this person really was. Of course, there's truths mixed in with the lies. And I don't want to talk about those things. I want to talk about the facts, the things that I physically am being drawn to talk about and explain to you. So aside from just this one little story that I'm using as an example, Jesus went into the desert for 40 days where he fought temptation. Jesus battled with temptation. He starved himself in the desert. Now, if you starve yourself for a period of time, let alone 40 days, and you're in the desert where it's mostly complete darkness, you're probably in a cave for shelter or something along those lines, you are going to be releasing all sorts of chemicals in your body. DMT and all sorts of things, and you will be connecting with and having hallucinations, and you will be connecting with alternate energies. And if you think about the story about Jesus in the desert for 40 days, starving himself, temptation, the devil, all of these things, it really does start to formulate a very clear understanding of what he did. And we know, now listen to this, the yogis, the shamans, they spend so much time in caves. We hear this all the time. They spend 30 years in a cave, months in a cave, decades in a cave, in darkness. I don't know if you know this, but scientifically, if you spend 3 to 5 days in complete darkness, complete darkness for 3 to 5 days, you will start to see and connect with alternate energies and divine beings. You will unlock your pineal gland, and DMT, natural DMT inside your lungs and your mind will pour through your body like a river on fire, because you're just switching. Your brain is rewiring itself. Your entire being is starting to adapt to a new environment. 3 to 5 days. So when we go back and we look at the shamans who have used cannabis, peyote, ayahuasca, DMT, all sorts of psychotropics, from poisons on frogs and mushrooms and things like this, things we're not even aware of. They spent time, months, weeks, ends in caves and darkness. They were engaging parts of their mind and their heart and their celestial energy and altering their physical being to become these enlightened beings. Jesus didn't go to some library or bookstore. Buddha didn't go to some library and bookstore. And if we talk about Buddha for a minute, listen to this. Now, I told you I have a brother-in-law who's been to Tibet 10 times. He's a healing lama. He studies in Nepal all the time. We were discussing my eye to neck technique and talking about how the highest Buddhist priests, monks behind closed doors and secret teachings do have meditations where they are pressing on their eyes. We were talking about Buddha, and you know the whole story. Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree eating one grain of rice a day until he obtained enlightenment. That's an absolute misinterpretation of the truth. First of all, it wasn't even rice. It was when they say he ate 1 grain a day, the original writing is 1 grain a day, and it was just turned to rice because it was just the most common grain and thought that that's what it was. So it was 1 grain a day. It wasn't 1 piece of rice a day. He ate 1 grain a day. He ate one type of grain a day. Makes a lot more sense to you, doesn't it? He wasn't sitting there every day going, I'm just going to eat this 1 piece of rice under this tree. He was eating 1 type of grain. What he was actually eating was a mustard seed. And if you read about the mustard seed in Buddha teachings and all these things, it's all over the place in the Buddhist teachings and things like that. Now, this is very interesting. If you start to study into certain seeds, mustard seeds in particular, certain mustard seeds, what am I going to say? That's right. Certain mustard seeds have psychotropic effects to them. They cause hallucinogenic effects like LSD or mescaline or DMT or mushrooms and things like that. So again, now Buddha sat under a Bodhi tree, just eating seeds, definitely putting himself into a definite state of starvation, but at least having something to put in. What he was ingesting could have potentially had psychotropic effects, and he may have been eating it for that purpose alone, right? And he obtained enlightenment after 3 days, they say, 3 days sitting under a tree, and I just said 3 to 5 days in darkness, right? He sat under this tree, and if you think about it, maybe there next to the Bodhi tree, he had a shelter or something, and he was in darkness again, or his eyes were just closed completely for the whole time, and he was in the darkness within for that entire time. But when we start to look back at all of the ascended masters, all the spiritual teachers, the true spiritual teachers, the shamans and the priests and the messiahs and the prophets who have really made a profound impact in spiritual teachings today, that those who are teaching spirituality today are teaching off of their writings and the writings based on their teachings, right? But when we look at true spiritual teachings, they are people who have undergone pain and trauma and suffering like you could not imagine. And think of what it's like to starve in the desert for 40 days, or to just eat a certain type of seed and go from being rich to putting yourself out into the poor with and suffering. Pain, trauma, this hurt is something that engages a different perspective in a person. And an enlightened person moves past that emotional trauma. They don't live in that state of trauma. They don't live in that emotional state of hurt day after day. They see it, they perceive it, they understand it, and they realize that they are nothing, it is nothing, they are everything, it is everything. And it is just a manifestation of their creation for them to experience something in this reality. It's all an illusion. It's all a created reality. We are existing in something that is beyond what we've been taught and told. And if you really want to understand enlightenment, it's you could be awake. You could be awake. You could be ascending. You can be an intuitive, an empath, a psychic. You can have these abilities. But when you truly want to become enlightened, you've got to make the sacrifice. And this isn't killing a lamb or a chicken or doing something silly like that terrible. Don't do anything like that. It's making the sacrifice of yourself. It's being celibate for an extended period of time to reserve that energy, so when the moon enters your sign, you could do that meditation. Mine is the 7th of this month. I think it's 6:46 a.m. in the morning. I'll check, and you bet your bottom dollar I'll be sitting here meditating. And yes, I practice celibacy, only drinking water. I'm a vegan, right? These are things that we do. But aside from, growing up in a diversely abusive family, experiencing joy and pain and trauma in my life, and everything that I'm grateful for, the darkest days of my life I'm grateful for, almost committing suicide on multiple occasions I'm grateful for, and I'm grateful for all the beautiful and amazing things I have in my life. And I can look at this all right now and understand it. It's there is no emotional attachment for me anymore, because I look at them all as pages of a story that I've read, I've understood, I've processed it, I've appreciated it, I've had the sympathy and the sorrow and the joy and the glee, and I can let it go. I don't have to live in the light of another day or past emotions. And aside from, from the age of 3 years old, during all this internal battling, I've always felt an incredible spiritual connection. I'm one of those people who have always wanted to use the word God throughout their life, but always felt that little bit of embarrassment because of what the word God has been turned into. It's been made into a Hallmark sentiment. And for me, the word God is not a long bearded person. It's the person I communicated with when I wrote my book. It's a source of energy, something that transcends chemistry, biology, technology, and human comprehension. God is everything from everything and nothing from nothing. And it's something that we can't even perceive. It would be beyond extraterrestrial, beyond technology, beyond man, woman, plant, animal. Just something incredibly, incredibly beautiful, but completely foreign to us. And it's a beautiful thing when you really think about it and start to let go. But for me, really what I was a very jealous, angry person all my life. I lived in my thought, a tornado of thought. I've been quoted 1,000 times to say at any given moment there are 1,000 thoughts going on in my head. I live in a cyclone of thoughts. And I don't anymore. And it's that cyclone of thought, that tornado of joy and sadness and anger and happiness and want and need and desire and jealousy and bitterness and confusion and why and how and where, that makes us lost. So, all the pain and trauma and pain and trauma and pain and trauma that started happening in my life, I just started going, man, there's these glimpses of joy, and then there's these stretches of these just dark days. And I finally started to sit down and just, instead of feel bad for myself or cry or live in that pain, I started to stand up and go, no, let's look past this. We've spoke about this. That's what happens to most people. They think back to their past. They hit that moment of hurt, trauma, or pain, relationship, abuse, whatever it is. They hit it and they go, nope, I don't want to think about it anymore. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to see it. And they stop. They stop right at that moment of pain. They don't go past it, before they were hurt, before that person hurt them, and they don't understand both situations of both people, and they don't bring that logic and awareness and new understanding back into today. But for me, all the joy, all the pain, the communication I was receiving, the frequency, divine signs, sphere craft, just a lifetime that could be written out in a movie. And if, half the time, if I feel, if I explain this to people, they're going to say, you're just so full of shit, but I don't care, because it is the most honest truth, and I would give up every breath. I was going to say I'd give up everything just so for you to understand that this is really true. These things that I've experienced, they weren't hallucinations, they weren't visions. They were real things that happened in this world that I experienced. And then, of course, I was finally, I tried ayahuasca, and it was fine. It was, it wasn't anything I didn't already know. I guess that would be the best way to say it, right? But then, I did get to experience 5-MeO DMT, and that was beyond anything I can even just really, we've spoken about it before, and if it's something that you really would want to know more about, I would have no problem doing a full conversation about it and what I experienced on the multiple times I've done it. And I've even done it on smaller doses after that, just to see and have my full consciousness aware before you completely lose yourself and fall into the nothingness and then fall into everything. It's the most beautiful and insane and profound thing I can experience. But it's the type of thing that the ascended masters are experiencing, that when they're doing these rituals and starving themselves, or doing these sermons and these prayers and these meditations, these are things that they're experiencing. And when you start to really go back through the Bible, you realize that, even though there's this portion of Christianity out there today that's telling you meditation and things like that is a form of devil worshiping, when you start to look through the Bible, you do realize that there's meditation all over the Bible. Jesus meditated, hands down, Jesus meditated, and took part in rituals and so many amazing things. And you'd have to think that Buddha being out there from leaving in 7 years, it was 7 years between the time he left the palace and then when he came home and then took his son with him, it was 7 years. You'd have to think in that time he experienced things that were just beyond human comprehension. So I'm not telling you to go out there and buy mushrooms and to trip and find 5-MeO DMT and ayahuasca. I'm not telling you to do these things. Stay the course, do the research, keep on reading. Life will unfold before you naturally. That's the key right there. For me, that was it. Letting go of expectation completely. We expect our kids to do this. I expect my wife or my husband. I expect my employees or my job. We expect. Let it go. Let it go completely. I let go of expectation, and that for me was one of the biggest things that started to really help me feel better. And then resistance. We wake up in the day. We wake up each morning. We have to go to work or we have to take care of our kids, and immediately we you're putting resistance in your day. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, I've got to do this. Oh, they always do this. We're creating resistance and negative energy. And we've got to shift that. We've got to rewire our brains. We've got to continuously be mindful of our mindfulness, of our awareness, We've got to constantly, when you hear the words mindful awareness, living in the present moment, well, to get to the present moment, to be blissfully in that pleasant moment, your life has to be harmonious and blissful and resonating positively. And people who are financially struggling can't do that. People who are worried and have 6 children can't just do that off the bat. So, that's why I always say, watch what you're reading, watch who's delivering the messages and what the messages are. It's easy when you have $300 million in your bank account to sit there and say, just wake up in the morning and be love and let go, right? So I just wanted to talk about that tonight. I just wanted you to know that if you keep waking up each day and expecting and you're waiting for your moment of enlightenment and you think you're enlightened or you think you've achieved some level of awareness that is beyond your fellow brothers and sisters, well, in many cases, we haven't. People haven't. And the other thing is every single other person on this planet has the same abilities that you and I have. Every single person on the planet has the same abilities. We're all the same. We are all the same. Our bodies are made of the same exact materials. Our energy of awareness comes from the same exact source. It's fed the same exact information. Every single person on this planet is the prophet, is the Messiah, is the Buddha. Every single person on this planet is, maybe I should say, potentially is, because it's up to them. It's up to them on who are they going to be when they wake up in the morning. What are they going to do in their life to achieve and unlock and access those areas and abilities within? What are they going to sacrifice and give up in their pursuit of life? What are they going to give up with their idea and concept of life to really go within and achieve this? What form of discipline are they going to follow? These are the things that you really need to ask yourself, and it really comes down to a matter of how much do you want it and why? If you just want to be this person because you see everyone posting things like this and you just think it'll be a really cool thing and you want to get on board, then that's not the right time for you. And I don't mean that to insult you. The right time for you will be the right time for you. You'll know, you'll see, you'll hear, you'll know. Life unfolds naturally before you. It is a created reality, a created reality. What is in front of your life, what unfolds before your path is supposed to be there. It is only an issue and it is only a problem and it is only a distraction when you put expectation and resistance into it, when you put want and need into it, and when you let greed and temptation be what guides you, and when you live in the light of your past hurt and pain. Making sense? It's 2019. We have an opportunity right now. Listen to this. Before we do a little meditation, listen to this right now. I think this is cool, but it's kind of sad for those who are no longer with us. Every single society has fallen before ours. Every single society, by natural disaster and by man himself. Every single society has fallen. We have gone through the most crazy, insane times that you and I would not even have lasted 5 minutes in, right? We have our species, the human species, has evolved through so much diversity in this world. We have gone through so many different time periods, from medieval time periods to Western time periods, so many different cultures on this planet. We have gone through so much segregation, unification, separation, and unification. We have gone through so much war, so much pain. We have gone through the industrialized and then darkened ages, and we are here today. We are here today. Finally, for the first time, because in the 60s and 70s, they didn't have it right. I'm sorry. They didn't. Yes, peace and love, right? Peace and love. It turned into, maybe it started out to really be peace and love, but for the most part, it turned out to let's get high and have a lot of sex. That's really all it turned into. And I don't mean that offensively. I grew up in 1968. I seen the 70s. I remember it. I had an older sister. May she rest in peace. My mom had flowers all over the Volkswagen. So, I understand what the movements were and everything, but it just turned into a really big, messy era. But the beautiful thing is we had that business, industrialized and darkened mindset commingling with the drug-induced freedom of sex and exploration and different cultures and diversity. And they all had children, and those children grew up, and they grew up, and we're here. And we have finally for the first time, become a society, become a species that understands and really knows. The majority of us know that there really truly is more to this than we've been told. We know we are more than we are, and we are. If you really think about it right now, the movement the movement of truth, that we are one within one, truly one unified being that has divided itself into so many different individual energies of awareness that you and I can exist. We are all tethered and connected to one great source. This is a truth that everyone is embracing right now. We right now are in the age of living love. It's not the medieval times, it's not the Western times, it's not the Indogan times, it's not the industrial times anymore. It's the age of living love. And what that means is we're not getting up each day and going, oh, I'm just living love. Life is love. You are. Your energy is love. You are living love. You are a physical manifestation of love. You are a physical manifestation of love. That energy of nothingness, that energy of awareness we once were, has evolved to a state where it understands the good, it understands the hate, it understands the joy and the pain, and it understands the light and the dark, and it chooses to live in the light of love. And the frequency, the prayer, the energies that we were all being surrounded with right now, that we're all feeling, breathing in and breathing out and embracing, is that energy of love. We are now walking through photons and existence that is vibrating in love. The darkness is falling. Let it go. Live without that resistance and expectation. Forget about what you fear. Forget about what you fear and embrace and be what you love. Forget about what you fear and embrace and be what you love. Share what you love every single day with everyone around you without fear, without intimidation. All right? So let's do a little meditation for a few minutes. For those of you who have done the eye technique, I'm going to start right off with that with my meditation today. I'm not going to play games with it anymore. I'm not going to wait. We've been doing it enough times, and you can start to join me in how I actually do it myself. So what we're going to do here is we're going to breathe in and out a few times. We're going to close our eyes. We are, for those who do the eye technique, going to do the eye technique. For those who do not, you do not have to. Sit comfortably, be comfortably. I'll guide us through a few words for a few minutes, and we will have a beautiful meditation. Now, as far as those who are taking part in the mind's eye technique, closing your eyes, resting them with a slight pressure in the pads of your thumbs or pressing on them, whatever way is comfortable for you. We are tonight calling forth what we refer to as the angelic realm, the angel lights. We know our energy, you and I and everyone around us, is now protected from darkness. It cannot infiltrate us anymore. It cannot manipulate us, and it cannot tempt us anymore. We have risen above that fear and that intimidation. We are beings of love, and we communicate and connect only with the true source and our higher awareness and all of the ascended masters and the angelic realm. All darkness, negativity, malevolence, evil is gone from our lives. It is out of our existence. Our homes, our property, our family, our friends, our children, ourselves, our energy, our animals, our plants, everything on this planet is free from negative energy and darkness. It's falling away, and we will watch it and let it fall away as we stand in the light of our love. Close your eyes. Go into a meditative position with me. Those who are going to, go press on your eyes and just breathe comfortably. Don't worry about the pause in your breath. Don't worry about how you're breathing. Instantly, if you are on your eyes, you will instantly begin to see the fractal pattern before you. We'll see the red, green, blue pixels. Just stay in here with me. Understand as you look down and move your head down and up, left and right, you are in a 360-degree field. You're in a sphere of infinity. You are in the center. This is you and me right now. This is our natural existence. We are in the fractal stream, the created reality. We are traveling through it. Keeping your eyes closed. Release your hands off your eyes. Sit in a comfortable position with me. The angelic realm, the divine source of life, We resonate in light and love, and we only abide by and await true guidance from within. We follow our heart and connect with our mind with love and unity and kindness and compassion for all. We truly are one within one. We have ascended into the age of living love, and we can live without fear anymore. No intimidation, no darkness, just joy, love, laughter, comfort, kindness, compassion, equality, and freedom. Freedom to be who you originally intended to be. Sit with me in silence. Breathe comfortably. Let your thoughts come and go. Feel the energy around you. Feel your ears ringing, the pitch shifting. As you breathe in, feel your body expand beyond your skin. And when you breathe out, feel that energy come all the way into your center of your chest. Breathe in and expand out. Breathe in the frequencies of love inside. Our hearts are pure. Our minds are open. Our sins are gone. Temptation is gone. We live in our truth as we wake each day. We wake each day and we live in our truth. Keeping your eyes closed, bring your hands up to your eyes and rest and stay in the silence. Keeping your hands on the eye, fluctuate the pressure. A little bit of pressure, releasing the pressure. A little more pressure, holding, releasing the pressure. Stay in the silence and continue. Keeping your eyes closed, place your hands back down in your lap in a comfortable position. In the field of view before you, in the darkness, notice it is not flat and it is not dark. There's a texture. There are dots. There are various shades of dark and gray. A non-illuminated reality before you. As we breathe in that love that is all around us, our body expands out, absorbing more love around us, and we breathe in. As we exhale out, we push that love into the center of our chest. Expand out. Exhale. Again, inhale. Pause. Exhale. Bring your attention to the texture, the colors, whatever's before your eyes. And slowly with me right now, open your eyes as we come back with gratitude and love into our reality. Every day we go within. Every day we exemplify gratitude. We are living love. And if we can do this and be this every single day, I promise you, the world that is waiting for us will blow you away. I promise you. Beyond our dreams. Beyond our dreams. All right. That's going to do it for me. It's almost about bedtime. 5 a.m. every day. I get up 5 a.m. every day. It's 2019. It is definitely the year of discipline. Setting your goals and being disciplined. Setting your goals and being disciplined. Everyone, with light, love, God bless you. Namaste. I'll see you Sunday morning, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow morning, a few of the previous broadcasts, the Pineal Meditation, and the previous Sunday service will be up on my site, the Institute of Celestial Learning, and they will be in the December archive, and we'll be starting the January archive with this video in about a week or so when it's uploaded. So make sure you stop by the Institute of Celestial Learning. There are over 30 videos on my site you can watch anytime, absolutely free. No email sign up, no data collection, no nothing. You go to the instituteofcelestiallearning.com and you go to the archive, click each month, you can check out spiritual writings, whole bunch of stuff. All right, everyone, have a beautiful night. Hello to your friends and family, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.